We're going to go over some of your lesson 4-5 practice. So let's look at number 1. Triangle ABC is dilated using D as a center. So here is our center. And it has a scale factor of 2. The image ABC prime, so the bigger one, is our new shape. So we took a smaller one and we went bigger from this point. So we think about like we did yesterday or in our lesson here. These are along the same line, perspective-wise. But it's saying from this one to this one is a scale factor of 2. So Claire says the two triangles are congruent because their angle measures are the same. Do you agree? And explain how you know. So you need to explain how you know. Here to the side, you can type in a text box. When we think about the word congruent, let's think about what that means. Congruent means the same size and the same shape and the same angles, but maybe just a different location. Well, I could see this definitely are different locations, so that's okay. And it's a triangle, and even though one's bigger than the other, they do have the same angles. However, are the sizes the same? That will help you answer your question and why that is. Let's look at number 2. Sketch the image of quadrilateral PQRS under the following dilations. The dilation centered at R with a scale factor of 2. All right, so each one of these is going to give us a different center. So here's our R. We're using this center. And we're doing a scale factor of 2. So we've got to think each piece has to be 2 away. Okay? Well, R, if we're moving it to make it a scale factor of 2, we obviously know this is going to get bigger. But how far away is R from R? Well, it's no away. So 0 away times 2 is still 0. So R gets to stay where it is. So let's look at S. So we go up 1, 2, and over 1, 2. All right, so that's one move how far away it is. Well, we're times 2, so we got to do it again. 1, 2, and over 1, 2. So here will be our S prime. All right, let's look at P. We go up 1, 2, 3, and over 1, 2. So we've got to do it again because we're doing a scale factor of 2. Up 1, 2, 3, and over 1, 2. So this will be our P prime. All right, and then look at Q. We go up 1, and then we went over 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're going to do that again. Up 1 and over 1, 2, 3, 4. So we'd have our Q prime. Now we connect those together. From where we originally started, we should have a figure that looks just like what we started with, but 2 times bigger. You can use your tools to get you straight lines. And we see that it is 2 times bigger, and it dilated using point R here. So R stayed the same. The next one says dilate using the center of O, and O is down here. So let's use a different color so we can see. So we have O down here. And this time we're doing a scale factor of 1/2. So if we're thinking about where this shape is originally, here, and we're using this center that's down underneath it, and we're using 1/2, we need to realize that somewhere in this vicinity right here is going to be our new shape. It's going to get closer to the center. All right, so let's see what we can do. Get rid of our little red marks. All right, so we want to first see how far away is each piece. So here's our center. Let's start with Q. It is 1, 2, 3 away. So what is 1/2 of 3? Well, 1/2 of 3 is 1.5. So instead of 3, we're just going to go 1.5. And there's going to be our Q. And because we've already used prime, let's use double prime. This is our second move. Now let's look at P. We went over 1, 2, and up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we're doing a scale factor of 1/2. So we need to do 1/2 of that. So we're only going to go up 1, and 1/2 of 5 is 2.5. So 1, 2, and about right under there, we'll have a P double prime. It's not on the line, it's kind of right in the middle. All right, and let's do S. So S is over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and up 1, 2, 3, 4. So this was 6 and this was 4. We're going to do half of that. So half of 6 is 3, and half of 4 is 2. So we're going to go over 1, 2, 3, and up 1, 2, and we would have S double prime. All right, and then our last one is the R. So we go over 1, 2, 3, 4, and up 1, 2, but we're going to do half of that because we're times by half, which is the same thing as 4 divided by 2, which is 2. And then 2 divided by half, or half of 2, is 1. So then we're going to go over 1, 2, and up 1, and this will be our R double prime. Now we connect those together. We have a figure that is half the size of what we started, but using the center of dilation as the point that is away from the shape itself of O. Okay, so it's out to the side, kind of closer to O. The last one says a dilation centered at S. So we're going to use S as our dilation this time, or our center point. So we'll choose orange. So this is going to be our center point. And we're going to have a scale factor of 1/2. So always think about your center point. If you're getting smaller, it's going to get closer to your center point. So we've got to still figure out how many points here are we over. So if how far away is S from S? Well, it's 0 from itself. So 0 times 1/2 is still 0. So S gets to stay. So we know it's going to come off of this, and it's going to be half the size. There's no way for us to really count how big this line is and then cut it in half, but we can kind of see it'll be somewhere around here P will be. So let's do a little more precise calculation. So we went up 1 and then over 1, 2, 3, 4. So instead of going up 1, we're only going to go up 1/2, and instead of going over 4, we're only going to go over 2. So 1, 2. So here is our little point. Now this we'll call P triple prime. All right, so S gets to stay. Let's see about R. R is 1, 2 down, and 2 over. We're going to do half of that, so down 1 and over 1. So this will be R triple prime. All right, and then we know how it's going to kind of look, but we don't want to eyeball it too much because we want to be proportional and make it look right. So let's go over to Q. So we go over, we go over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and down 1. So half of 6 is 3. So 1, 2, 3, and half of 1 is just 1/2. So we're about halfway there in the middle of that unit, and we're going to call it Q triple prime, and then connect our shape here. So now this is half the size of the original, but with a center at S. So those take some practice, and you'll get some more practice with those. Down here, the diagram shows 3 lines with marked angle measures. Find the missing angles marked with question marks. So you're trying to find these question marks. So this is where it brings back in prior knowledge. If we know that these lines, we have to know vertical angles and supplementary. So if I look at this angle and across from it, if this one's 27, this must be 27. And then if I see, oh, well, this is a straight line, so from here to here have to equal 180, I can figure out 180 minus 27 and find that one. And once I know it, I will know this one as well. So you're going to work those and see if you can find all 4. All right, number 4 is describe a sequence of translations, rotations, and reflections that take polygon P, so P, to Q. So this is where it pulls back in your knowledge of rotations, reflections, and translations. Remember, with translations, we are going left or right. That's our X moves. Up and down are our Y moves, and we've got to say what we're doing, if it's positive or negative. Rotations, we have to have a point we're rotating around, so we have to know what point that is. We also have to know which direction we're rotating, clockwise or counterclockwise, and we have to know a degree that we're rotating. So you have to make sure you have all three of those things. With reflections, we have to know what axis we're going over, whether it's X, Y, or just a random line somewhere that we drew in the middle and we named something. So you have to decide what that's going to be, so this is prior knowledge. All right, let's look at number 5. Point B has coordinates -2, 5. After a translation 4 units down, a reflection across the y-axis, and a translation 6 units up, what are the coordinates of the image? So if we could do a quick little sketch of a graph, that would be helpful. So if we think about where we are, kind of give us a quick idea. If we do -2, say about there, and we go down -5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we're roughly somewhere right here. Okay, so -2, -5, and it says after a translation 4 units down. So if I'm going down, that's controlling my y-axis. So I'm going down 4. So if I'm at -5 and I go down 4 more, I'm going to be at -9. But it didn't say anything about moving left or right, so my -2 stays. So we took care of the 4 down. Then we reflect across the y-axis. So this would be our original, this would be our B prime, and now we're going to get to our B double prime. So we're going to cross across the y-axis. So we know we're way down here, somewhere at 9, and we're going to go across the y-axis. Well, when we go across the y-axis, we got to remember that the -9, the y is the boss, he gets to stay the same, and then the x value has to change to the opposite, so it's going to change to 2. Now, we've taken care of that. And then it says a translation 6 units up. So up and down takes care of our y's. So if we're at -9 and we go up 6, we think about adding to that, we're going to be a -9, a +6, we're at -3 and 2. This would be our B triple prime, and that's our final coordinates. All right, so if you had trouble with that, try and practice yourself to make sure that you understand. All right, let's look at number 1, and this is from lesson 5, so it's just graphing more on a grid. So we have quadrilateral ABCD, and it's dilated with a center of 0, 0, which is our origin, so we'll put a little dot there. And we're taking B, so here's B, to B prime, which is here, and we're going to draw that new shape. All right, so we're thinking about, it's not telling us how much, but we have a point that we're getting to. So that's what we have to find out first. We have to find out what our scale factor is to see what we're doing. So if we think about, first, let's find our scale factor. So how do we get there? And this little line right here is kind of hard to see, but there's a line right through 1 right here. So we went up 1 and over 1, 2, 3. So we went up 1 and over to the right 3 from our center point to our B. Now, to get to our B1 or our B prime, we went up 1, 2. Get to B prime. We went up 2 and over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So now we can look and say, how did I go from 1 to 2? How much difference is that? 1 times what would get me 2? And how would I go from 3 to 6? 3 times what gets me 6? Well, if we realize the same thing is happening, we are multiplying by 2, so our scale factor is 2. Now, we can adjust all our pieces. So now that we know our scale factor, it's just a matter of taking all of our pieces and making them 2 times bigger from the origin, because we're using our origin as our center. So we know that's going to be on our center. So they basically helped us do B, B prime. So now we're going to do A. So we go up 1, 2, 3, and over 2. So this is 2 and this is 3, and we're going to multiply by 2. So this is times 2, we get 6. Times 2, we get 4. So that means we're going up 6 and over 4. So here was 3, 4, 5, 6, and over 1, 2, 3. And we're going to have A prime. So you're going to continue that, and you're going to have your shape. So here's one side we've already got drawn here. And then we're going to continue. The shape is going to look exactly the same, but it's going to be bigger. So try and see how you do with the rest. All right, let's look at number 2. It's a triangle. And the triangle has a few things that you're going to do. You're going to draw the dilation of ABC, which are given, with the center at 0, 0, a scale factor of 2, and make a new triangle. So think about scale factor of 2. It's going to be bigger. The second part, you're going to draw a dilation of ABC with the center 0, 0, but this time a scale factor of a half. So think about what's going to happen to it. You're still using the same center. And that will be called ABC double prime. Then it asks you, is ABC double prime a dilation of triangle ABC prime? So you're comparing the two that you drew, and you're trying to figure out if they are. If they are, what are the center of dilation? That should be a give me. And what is the scale factor going from these two new ones that you created? So when we did the chart the other day where we had the sides and we had to see what happened to get to the other, that will be helpful. Then it says triangle ABC is a right triangle. That's why it has this right angle right here. And the measure of angle A is 28 degrees. What are the measures of the other two angles? So you got to remember what a right triangle, how much angle that is, and then find angle C. All right. Hope this helped.